Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, we welcome the guests that I consider all of our guests modern day sages in their space. And as a sage, they are here to enlighten us with wisdom, principles that they utilize to capitalize from walking through their dark places so that you and I can become better human spirits. We would love to hear the wisdom from Charlene today, and I want her to tell us what she has created, and then, as it is our custom here at Threads, to go back and take our journey to today. Charlene, welcome to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm delighted to be here.
It is our pleasure. So tell us introduce yourself to the audience, what you have today and what you're doing today.
Today is not what I was years ago, but today I am known as the Chief Empathy Officer and the Truth Teller of Bulletproof Your Business Now, which is a fancy way to explain I'm following a passion of mine that I had when I was 20, which is basically advising business leaders and founders and entrepreneurs about the better way of doing business to survive and thrive to the next century.
That is awesome. That is a great service, actually, because our audience, I know they have a lot of businesses and young business entrepreneurs. And this is the person, guys, that are listening. This is the person to get in touch with. We'll provide her information at the end of the podcast, so you'll have that stuff. But Charlene, what we do here at Threads is we go back as we are birthed into this world. We are with a family, and in that family, we are programmed. Our programming begins, be it church, whatever it is, the system, the world system, families, and so forth. Tell us a little about your family life. How did it start? That type of things.
My mother was the saint of the earth. She provided us, there were 4 kids. She provided us with tons and tons of love. My father was one of those men. He should never have been a father. He should never have been a husband. But like all of us, he fell into that thing. So he believed dramatically in corporal punishment. He believed that fathers always know best. And he ruled the roost with a very strong hand. I was the oldest. I was the rebellion one. And I was the girl. There were 3 boys. So I was lucky in that I was very rarely beaten, and my mother showered me with love. The boys got beaten. The girl did not. I was a good girl. Excelling was always in my blood. Doing the best. No, not doing the best. Doing super. Doing the absolute. Better than everyone else. That's the way it was for me. And I also had somehow or other, I believed that, yes, okay, women can be powerful and corporate people and whatever else, but you got to have a house and the white picket fence and the 3 kids and the blah, blah, blah. So I was looking backwards there, I was afflicted from that point of view. I guess about the time I was 14, 15, I started fantasizing about living by myself, what it was going to be like to be fully independent. And I couldn't wait. I just knew I had so much to contribute. I just knew I was so good. I mean, who knows? When you measure yourself on your marks and you measure yourself on everyone saying you're a good person, you think you've got the world by the tail. So I could hardly wait to get out and prove myself to the world. I was 18. My parents split up. My dream of going to university was put aside because my father told me his pension was way more important. So that meant I had to go out and find my own education, get a job, pay for it all myself, which I did, whatever. But I think when I was 18, I realized if it was meant to be, it's up to me. And I was hell-bent on making sure that I was going to do it all. When I was 20, I had a fantasy. 20 years old, and my fantasy was I was going to win the $25 million lottery. And I was going to take $2 million of that and put that into my pension because, 20-year-olds always worry about their pension.
Yeah.
And then I was going to take the other $23 million and I was going to lend that out to all of the small business owners and because I knew they had issues. So So I said, okay, well, I've got all this money. It's going to be free. So I'll just charge nominal interest rates and I'll do easy payment terms.
Mm-hmm.
And the only caveat is that I'll be their business advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, I don't know about you, but I don't know any 20-year-old who has the wherewithal to advise business owners about anything. And here's the kicker. In order to win a lottery, you have to buy tickets, and I've never bought a ticket my entire life. So this fantasy was behind the eight ball to begin with, but that didn't stop anything. And if I was to look at my career, I had a pretty amazing career. If I wanted to impress anyone in my old days, I would say, yeah, okay. So I was the big poobah. I ran companies. I was the lead person in companies that had revenues between 35 million and almost $1 billion. And yeah, I ran teams and I did it internationally. And yeah, okay, 60 acquisitions, 10 dispositions, 35 profit improvements, and even one bankruptcy, blah, 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 blah. I look at my entire career as being nothing more than giving me the base foundation so that I can go out and advise businesses. I'm not I'm not hung up on what I did. It doesn't matter. It's all about filling up me, the vessel, with the
Yeah.
best knowledge possible to serve the folks that I wanted to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. Anyways, I decided to go out on my own, and I was actually doing that and having fun, and found out I was pretty darn good at it. And then I became a caregiver for my mom. So when I was doing that, and I couldn't work full time, I said, well, I got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to write a book, finished the book, got that published. My mom passed away, and within 6 weeks of her passing away, I was struck with a viral infection.
Mm-hmm.
The universe said, okay, woman, you've had it your way. It's not going to be that way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the viral infection was streptococcal meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it starves
Yep.
all the oxygen out of your brain and your spine.
Yeah.
And what that does is it gives you seizures
Seizures.
and strokes,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately you can die. I had 2 seizures, 2 strokes, and I was put in a coma for a week.
Wow.
I had to learn how to walk and talk and string thoughts together and basically become the person I used to be, but only better.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't easy. I don't think that what happened to me is any different actually than anyone who gets a surprise divorce. I don't
Yeah.
think it's any different than anyone else who all of a sudden your world is rocked because you just lost somebody important to you, just died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's any different than anyone else who's ever been given horrible news about anything, and they've lost their job, they've got this awful disease, whatever. Every human being has what I call shit happen to them.
Yeah.
And mine was a viral infection, which could have been a hell of a lot worse, and it wasn't. And I couldn't figure out why,
Yeah.
because the odds were not good. My doctors, even today, my doctors are calling me a medical miracle. It doesn't happen. Here's what I've learned. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it spirit, you can call it whatever you want. There's whatever higher power you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
You came to this earth with a purpose. And as you move along, as you get caught up in the world, as you get caught up in the way society runs itself, you can get lost. You can get caught up in all the, I got to have this, I got to have that, I got to have something else. But the reason you came to the earth, the reason you are here is for some higher purpose. And getting knocked down is often the starting point to realize what that purpose is.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a while to learn that absolutely nothing happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happened for you.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I totally agree. How I love, as you were telling your story, your character from when you were a young girl. You could see it as you talk about this tenacious character of an individual, in a sense. You're independent at a young age. You were somewhat focused in a way in how you approach things, and in that focus, you can see that you got things done, as they say. You got things done, and I love that you see that, and you hear it in your voice as you talk about your focus. I myself was in the arena of a caregiver, so I know some of those times. And nothing is, as you said, Charlie, nothing is easy. People sometimes think life is easy. Life is challenging, but it is a great teacher, and it can help you to become the better you. All the situations that come into your life, the caregiver you did that, I came out softer. I went into an industry. I was in healthcare management piece, and then I went into skilled nursing. Skilled nursing kind of took away all the ruggedness that I had to show and be a part of the management aspect. When I got into that skilled nursing place, man, it broke down everything that has to do with that, and I became more human, if for lack of a better word. I came in touch with my feelings. I began to accept things differently, think differently, and all that type of stuff. So you have gone through that. You wrote a book. Now I want to talk about this book. How did you come about that? I mean, you're taking care of your mom. You're like, okay, I'm going to write a book. How did that come about? Yeah.
So when I was having to look after my mom, my ego said, "You're so much better than this. You're wasting your talents. Go do something creative."
Mm-hmm.
That's what my ego said.
Yeah.
I think looking back, writing that book, which I called Nuggets of Wisdom
Mm-hmm.
for Early Entrepreneurs, I think what that book actually was my way of closing a chapter of my life. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know it at the time. What I wanted to do was get out everything that I had in my head that I knew that people needed to know,
Mm-hmm.
all the mistakes that I saw people doing, all the and having worked in huge companies and smaller companies, I saw all the mistakes firsthand. I made a ton of them myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, no, people need to know this, and so I wrote it in a breezy fashion, and also it was a marvelous escape route for me.
Mm-hmm.
In caregiving, as you know,
Yeah.
it's burnout.
Yeah.
Your brain
Oh
is
yeah.
burnout, and it was my way of keeping my brain fully functioning.
Functioning.
That's why I wrote the book. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, was that the book that I wanted to write? Was that the book that I came here to write? Hell no. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
the middle of that book now. But that was my first attempt at writing something, which turned out to be not too bad, actually,
Mm.
according to the reviews and stuff. But it was the preamble for the one that I'm writing now. I
Excellent.
did not know it at the time.
Okay. So here you are also, you didn't know about that. And after your mom passed, you had this viral infection that came out of nowhere. How did you manage? I know you went through it, but how did you manage through it? Because of all the mental adjustments, the things that you have to walk yourself through for something like that, because I know what the viral meningitis does. And to have you talking about it and the rate by which you came out of it, and you said you testify that even the physicians are saying you were a miracle. So walk us through some of those days that you were there.
I will walk you through it, but I want to preface everything by saying you talked about my determination.
Mm-hmm.
The number one secret that I had my entire life for getting to where I set my goalposts. I
Mm-hmm.
had always a vision. I
Mm-hmm.
had a picture in my head of what I wanted to do. So, or what I wanted to be. And the fact I could tell you the picture, and it's absolutely silly because it would mean nothing to anybody. But I always set myself, okay, I'm going to have that corner office. And I would imagine a picture of
Mm-hmm.
in that corner office. And it always happened.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be making millions at this section. Millions, not for me personally, but for other people.
Yeah.
At that point, guess what happened? Every time I had a vision in my head, whatever I was working on, what's the word today? Manifest.
Mm-hmm.
It happened. It
Yeah.
took place. My friends always said to me, I don't know how you do it, Char, but you always come up smelling like a rose.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter whatever happened in my life. I always found a way around it.
Mm-hmm.
So I share that because when we get knocked down, the first place to look is always inside of us,
Inside.
because the wisdom that we have gotten from all the previous experiences is in our heart, it's in our soul, and that's the best place to pull things out.
Hmm.
So when you say to me, how did I do it? I actually did what I had spent my entire life doing. When my husband woke me up, I woke up in the hospital, and my husband's right beside me. He says, "Oh, honey, it's lovely to see you. Don't panic. You're in the hospital. Yeah, and you're okay. But you had a stroke, and I'm going to go get the doc to tell him you're awake." The first thing that went through my head was a big screaming no. The
Hmm.
next thing was I had enough sense to feel my face, to feel if there were any tugs or pulls or whatever. Okay,
Hmm.
so that seemed to be okay, because I'm a very vain woman. That seemed to be okay. Okay, so therefore I didn't have I can get through this.
Yeah.
I have this big no in my brain, and I have no external that I can feel, external issues. So the thing that I kept saying to myself, I'm not going to be dependent on my husband. I am
Hmm.
still the strong, independent breadwinner of the family.
Hmm.
I may have had a minor issue here. I will get better. I have gotten better from everything in my life, but I am not changed. I am still the same woman, and I refuse to have my husband look after me. No, this
Hmm.
is not my life. I am going to get ahead. And I'm not a doctor. I swear to you, I have a business degree up the yin yang, but I am not a doctor. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I had this vision. So I had a pity party. I'm good at pity parties. We're all
Hmm.
good at pity parties. And I said, okay, any pity parties I generally have might last a day. So I think I was shell shocked more than anything else. But the next day I woke up and I was in the ward. I listened to the noises, and I was in a room with another lady. So I listened to the noises outside. And what I heard was people who could not talk, people who couldn't feed themselves, people who had issues trying to get to the bathroom, people who made these really strange guttural noises. And I said, oh my God, I am in the stroke wing.
Hmm.
I don't have any of that. I am lucky. I am so lucky.
Wow.
Every time anything horrible has ever happened to me, or I always look at what other people have first.
Hmm.
Yes, I'm really good at having a pity party, but it's a waste of energy for me. I would rather put my energy into something that is going to bring me results, even if I can't see the
Yes.
results, even if I can't feel them right away. I would, and so I get my energy. I'm not nearly as bad as that person. I'm not nearly as bad as that person.
Yeah.
And so then what I said was, okay, as I'm laying in this bed, and I can at least go to the bathroom myself, but I'm still problem stringing words together. What can I do? So here's what I did.
Hmm.
I forced myself to go down the ward and
Hmm.
be their ray of sunshine. I
Hmm.
could hardly talk.
Yeah.
I could smile, but I couldn't really say much. But I knew that I had a lovely smile, and I could go bring cheer to them. So I
Hmm.
first set myself up. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go visit the other people down the hall and say, hi, good morning. It's a lovely day. How are you?
Hmm.
That's all. I just set myself a goal that was what I was going to do. My roommate could not get out of bed. So I said, okay, she's by the window. I'm going to get up, go over, open up the drapes so we both have sunshine in the room.
Hmm.
Very small step that I knew I could do.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I take a great amount of joy in seeing people's eyes light up,
Hmm.
whether I'm teaching them a new idea
Hmm.
or I'm just spreading what I call sunshine around. It fills my heart to have them smile back, them appear to be happy and joyful. It just makes me sing, and I want to do more. So I did. The next thing I did was, once that gave me this strength, I looked at what I have. So I said, okay, what is it that I can do right now? And I focused on that. I can walk 10 paces. I
Hmm.
can walk down every day. I can walk a little bit more and a little bit more. I can go buy myself a coffee. Now, it didn't matter that I was holding up the wall the whole way down.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Hmm.
It didn't matter that I was a sweaty a bag of mung by the time I got back. It was, I did it. I'm
Yeah.
going to keep moving. Okay, so then you become become strategic and you say, so what can I do? Well, I became the patient from hell. And I said to the physiotherapist and the physical therapist and whatever else, listen, give me 10 times the amount of homework that you would give anybody. Well, we don't give people homework. I said, okay, give me homework. Give me a crap ton of homework, and I'm going to do it in my hospital bed. I had no idea what I was doing or saying or what. They thought that I was terrible. But in my business career, I knew you stick to it. You
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
You have faith. Even though it's as dark as hell, this is how I always led my team. So dealing with the hospital people, and they're looking at me like, most people don't do that. I said, yeah, I know that, but this is what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to fold towels? I don't want to fold towels. I want to make my gourmet dinners. Well, you can't do that. Okay, then give me a computer. Well, you can have 10 minutes. Well, 10 minutes at a computer is not going to help me. I live on my computer. So as I became that patient from hell. Anyways, if I could find a way to challenge myself,
Yeah.
raise my energy level, and just keep pushing myself to exhaustion by the end of the day, that was a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is you get yourself into this routine of, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit more, and tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit more, and tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit more. And what happens is you don't focus on becoming, you focus on being. So you become, for all the business people in listening, you know that you have to be the person you want to become. So I just focused on, if I do this enough time, it's going to work.
Yeah.
I just know it's going to work. And I proved that it was going to work. And this is why I say the 4 inches between your ears is the best piece of real estate we all own. Garbage in, garbage out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. And I kind of knew that when I was when I was going through all my career, and from the time I was a kid all the way up till I was about 50. I kind of knew that, but I didn't really phrase it, articulate it. And so going through this awful event showed me that, wait a minute, this is actually true. This is very, very true. And now you asked me about the mental stuff. So I'll be honest, there was a piece of me that didn't come out whole. For me, I could not argue like a lawyer. Up until that point, I could argue anybody and anything. And I was always winning. That's why they love me. And I would always do it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I couldn't talk that way anymore. I couldn't argue. I couldn't talk and think at the same time simultaneously like so many do. So I had to stop, think about what I was saying, and then proceed. And that to me, I felt was terrible because I wasn't the person that I was. Really and truly, there was a reason I had to lose that. But holding on to who I knew I was, that was the worst thing that I could do for myself. And I will say that to anybody.
Yeah.
If you want to hold on to who you were, don't let it go.
Let it go.
Because the person that you're going to become is 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I like to use the analogy of a butterfly, or if you don't like the butterfly, then think of the phoenix. The butterfly goes through the chrysalis stuff, looks really ugly, and comes out the most beautiful, amazing thing. The phoenix can only come out of the ashes. So you're looking at it as complete rubble, but miraculously this phoenix rises and soars even higher. And those are the two wonderful images that I keep in mind for almost anything that I do, whether it's business or personal or whatever. It's what I preach all the time. We have the power inside of us. And part of that power is recognizing that sometimes we don't have all the answers inside of us. Sometimes we actually have to bite our dignity, bite our ego, and say, okay, I don't know, please teach me. And that is so humbling. That is just awful. And what I learned when I took that attitude and said, well, how the hell do I get out of this? Because I'm stuck here and it doesn't feel right, but I don't know what it means. What I ended up doing was I had interviews with best neurologists, the best self-hypnotists, the best NLP practitioners, just so I could study, how does the brain work? What do we need to do it? Because I don't believe in drugs and all that business. How can I get my head and my mind turned into the right direction? Again, I've always been focused, but I was not prepared. The one thing I was not prepared for was this process took so much time. If there was one word you could say, I'm impatient. I want to get on a track and then I want to motor on that track. But it actually took me a couple of years, which is just an outrageous amount of time and it's nothing in the general scheme of things, to come to grips with working on that mind, getting that
Hmm.
mind back into condition again and getting it focused to a better place. It takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And that sounds so wimpy of me, I know, but everyone is different, and you can't beat yourself up that you're not making the progress that you want to make. The actual fact is you're making progress.
Yeah.
You just can't see it because your life right now is suction cupped to your face.
Yeah.
If you can get out of that, take a walk, go back into nature and take a walk, take a deep breath and think, okay, where was I 6 months ago? Where
Hmm.
am I now? I can guarantee you are still different.
Yeah, that is such a powerful story, Charlene. I mean, is you in that story that you just told encapsulate so much about personal growth. It's just fascinating. About you talked about picturing in your mind what you wanted to do and making it come to pass. The I know athletes do it, business people do it. I did it when I was in both arena. The finding the purpose, the little things to cause you to get up, which you did when you were in the hospital or the place where you're supposed to be in this darkness. But taking that first step, going and helping another person, those are all stuff that helps the human spirit to maneuver from dark places to the light. I love your story. It's just fascinating as I'm listening to it. I'm having a blast just listening to it, and seeing your passion for living and getting things accomplished and not staying put. I always say to my kids when they were little children, and today they'll say to me, keep moving. If you stay stagnant, you can die. Because if you're not growing, keep moving. Take one step every day to where you want to go. Just if it's one step and you go somewhere, it's one step. Tomorrow, take two steps. Take two and a half. Every day you come and you push yourself a little further. That's what it's about, guys. Do not settle. She could have settled and stayed in bed. Probably you would have been in a hospital laid up, and who knows where she would have been today. But she made a choice. The first thing she said when she started the story was no. And then she began to take that no and implement a plan to make it come to pass that no is a true reality. And so you and I have to do the same thing in our life. You have to come to a place where you say no. And then you begin to take the little steps. She told us how many steps she did, what she did, little things, coffee. She was holding the wall up, going to the patients, going to the windows, opening up the blind, going to another patient on the hall and smiling and saying something, but she kept moving. And what a powerful story, Charlene. I'm just having a good time rehashing on how you got out. And so here you pushed yourself through. How did you, the mind piece is awesome because I know NLP and all the other aspects of it when we began to study the mind. And I've done some study on the mind and how powerful of a tool it is. How did you now, once you gain some understanding as to your mind and the power of it, did you now begin to move into the place that you are today?
I set a vision.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. Look, I'm not. I'm just a regular human being. I really am. There's nothing special about me. So if I say to you, I always have visions. There were years when I didn't have a vision, and the year that I didn't have a vision, nothing really exciting happened.
Mm-hmm.
And your thing about growing, yeah, having some kind of a picture or an endpoint helps you stay focused. So that I have had years where I wasn't focused. When I realized it didn't come overnight. When I realized that this was for me to make me a better person, I said, okay, what do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I want to be? And so I still want to be that business advisor, but now I have the very soft edge. I used to wear my heart on the sleeve at the best of times, but I don't know how you describe this now. I have a lot more empathy, a lot more compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have the drive to say, okay, here's how we stay accountable. Here's how we get it done. And what I did was I set a new vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a vision in my head which makes no sense to anybody except.
Mm-hmm.
And that vision, I said, set for 3 years, now 2 years, but it was 3 years ago when I set it. And in the beginning, like everything takes time.
Mm-hmm.
I've never changed from that vision, but I have had thought, just like any business person, this is best thing since sliced bread. I'm going to build it. They're going to come. Yes, well, maybe not. In the beginning, it's hard because things move slowly. In the first year of any job, in the first year of doing anything, it's all new and you're experimenting and you're like a babe. You have no idea what you're doing, but you're just doing it. In the second year, you have an idea of what's going on, and now you're getting your momentum. And in the third year, everything's cranking all cylinders and it's shooting right up. So I've done my year of, man, is anything going to happen? Where is this? Is this? I've got this idea. Is it ever going to happen? And I'm so tired of trusting. I'm so tired of trusting myself. I'm tired of trusting this. It's not going to happen. I've had those thoughts, but
Mm-hmm.
I keep focused on the picture in my head of what I want.
Yeah.
This year is my second year. The momentum is picking up and it's
Mm-hmm.
feeling exactly like it's always felt. First year slow, second year picking up, third year blast off.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best way that I can share with anybody. Once you make that decision, you're going forward and you've got that vision, you've got that picture. It's what happens
Yeah.
because your brain starts to go into this direction that says, okay, that's what you want, no problem. And it goes out and finds stuff that you wouldn't even think exists, and it comes back. And what you have to guard against is saying, oh, well, that's garbage. That's not what I meant. Oh, well, I want it within this parameter. No,
Yeah.
you got to leave your mind open. You
Mm-hmm.
have to say, I am not going to be restricted here. I am the worst restrictor. I have to be open
Mm-hmm.
and then just take in all the goodness that comes your way. But that first year is not the easiest, I will say.
I think that's the planting of the seed, as they say.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's planting of the seed. Yes, yes.
And then as you water it with what you're doing, as you're moving and applying your studies and all of the different things that you are putting and watering that seed, then it will germinate. It's a process. It is the process of life.
It is the process of life. You're absolutely right. And it's also the process of love.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing that I did learn, I learned how to love myself.
Yes.
And I will say that in my world, there's a lot of people that don't love themselves.
Oh yeah.
And when you love yourself, the world opens up. You
Mm-hmm.
get more love back, you
Mm-hmm.
give out more love, and you get more life.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Isn't it? It's a great journey. I just tell anyone, get on that journey. It is the most important journey you'll ever get on, because as you learn to love yourself, your world opens up because you are able to love you, and you are your worst critic, and you're able to accept you. You're able to have empathy with you. And when you start doing those things to yourself, and in many cases, you started where you kind of hated that person, but you eventually fell in love with this person. You can turn from that space and love anyone, regardless of how crazy they are, because you realize that you know who you are and you know what you have to offer. It is a beautiful journey.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Couldn't have said it better myself.
But I want to thank you for coming, Charlene. I mean, you gave us so much information, and I am hoping that you guys, when this comes out, listen to it 5, 6 times, because there is so much stuff in there that you need to grab hold of. And I know she is in a place now where she's helping small businesses and all these type people. Tell us a little about refresh again where you're at and what you have created, and some of the services that you have for people to come.
You can find me at www.bulletproofyourbusinessnow.com. I have three main packages for business people, presidents, owners, founders, entrepreneurs. The first one is reclaim your power. This is all about falling in love with yourself. This is all about finding what makes you the desired person that everyone else thinks you're so amazing. We don't think about that. This is about helping you become the best leader you can possibly be. So that's package number one. Package number two is what I call show me the money, honey, the 5 M's. Every single business, no matter what the size, rests on 5 pillars. Regardless of size, the only difference is the depth of the pillar. So there's 5 pillars that every business owner needs to know. And this is the piece that I wish I had learned a million years ago, because it would have made my life a lot easier. The 5 M's. And then the third piece is entrepreneurs need support. Entrepreneurs need like-minded groups. So I have peer councils. That's what I can offer to any business owner out there.
That is awesome. I appreciate you spending your time sharing your story, giving us so much, so many principles, and all of it, the principles of self-development. Every one of them she talked about. Charlene talked about every one of them. And I had fun listening to it because it was great being put in that fashion. And I just loved it. I had a good time. So I want to thank you for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. And I'm going to bring you back if you don't mind.
Thank you so much, Ken. It'll be my pleasure.
Everyone who's listening to this podcast, we hope to continually help you to learn how to embrace moments of darkness, because it is in the darkness that we learn how to develop and use our abilities to truly see those parts of ourselves, often invisible to us, in the light. It becomes your responsibility to navigate through all of your trials, to find out who you truly are and begin your journey to loving yourself, which is possibly one of the most difficult things you will ever do in your life. To love yourself and to find the real you, but always remember to enjoy the journey. Thank you for coming by. Please subscribe. And if you can support us financially, we deeply appreciate it.